Hey everyone, I'm here with my grandma, and she's gonna introduce herself real fast.
I'm Mary Faust, and I am a librarian, or I'm a retired librarian.
All right, Grandma, I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions here, if that's
Okay,
fine.
sure.
I'm just gonna start off with an easy one. I'm gonna ask, where were you raised and born? Born and
Well,
raised.
yeah, I was born and raised in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Uh, actually lived on the south side of Fort Wayne, and I went to elementary and junior high. Elementary was Hamilton School, junior high was James Smart School, and then I went to Fort Wayne South Side. I always have to make it different that it's not Muncie South Side, but it's Fort Wayne South Side.
And speaking of your schools there, what was school like back then?
Well, we had uh, a single teacher all the way up until the fifth grade, and then in fifth grade we started having different teachers for different subjects. And I walked to school every day, 2 miles, a half a mile to school, a half a mile home at lunch,
In the
uh,
snow
in
and
the
up the
snow
hill?
or rain. Well, I wasn't a hill, but I was past the reservoir,
Uh,
and then a half a mile back at noon, and a half a mile home in the afternoon.
um, are schools any different now than they were back then?
Well, I think the subjects definitely are different. We didn't even have computers when I went to school. In fact, I don't think they'd been invented, and I didn't know what a computer was. We had penmanship where we had an inkwell in the desk, and you had to dip your pen in the inkwell, and then you'd write with it. And I'm left-handed, and I don't think my penmanship teacher liked left-handed people because that's what I always got a low grade on. It was penmanship. So, um,
Um, when you were talking about, computers and stuff, I mean, what was it like growing up back then without all this technology we have today?
well, of course, my dad worked. Uh, your grandfather, no, your great grandfather, was a pharmacist, and he worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and he had the car. So if we had to go any place, if we wanted to go downtown, we had to take the bus. We took the trolley. There was a trolley car attached to a line on the top, and it ran in the street. I had to walk a block to the trolley car, and then I had to ride it downtown. Sometimes, if you were going a certain place, when I went to high school and took the bus, I had to transfer, so I had to take two different buses. And what was the question again?
What was it like growing up back
Oh,
then? About the technology and all that.
yeah, well, there was no technology as far as school was concerned.
Well, then, what did you do for fun?
Well, uh, we played games. We roller skated. They had cement sidewalks, and we would roller skate around the block, around the square block, uh, past our house and around. There were a couple churches down the street. We passed them when we roller skated, and we would. There was a reservoir that we passed on the way to school was about 4 blocks away, and in the wintertime we went ice skating when the red flag was not up. There was a red flag if the ice was not safe. But if the ice was safe, then we went ice skating. But I usually didn't go much ice skating. I spent most of my time in the little house where you got warm.
I'm not much of an ice skater either. Um, when you were talking about that, you said we, and does we mean your friends?
Yes,
Uh,
it would be my school friends and the neighbors. There was a couple girls that lived next door that I played with, and they didn't go to my schools, but we went ice skating together, and we played games together, and we caught lightning bugs in the summer together, and those are some of the things we did.
um, As you said, your friends, you guys did all that kind of stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, now kids these days go to, the mall and hang out, to movies and all that. What did your friends and you do anything like that? Go to the movies or anything?
Yeah, we went to the movies. They always had a Saturday matinee, and they had cowboy films. Roy Rogers was a big hit. I liked Roy Rogers. I didn't care for Gene Autry, but I liked Roy Rogers. And they usually it was a double feature, so there were two films, and that would take up the whole afternoon. And that was one of the things we did. Uh, I didn't go shopping because we didn't have malls. They just had department stores downtown, and I just if I went shopping, it was usually with my mother. I didn't go with my friends.
I see. Well, I'm gonna move a little bit further past your childhood.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask this question. Where did you meet Grandpa?
Well, I met him when he and I were both students at Ball State. He was taking industrial technology, and I was taking elementary education. And we met on a blind date, and we dated for a while, and then we broke up. And then he went to the Army for 2 years. And when we came, and then we wrote while he was in the Army, and he came back he went to Korea, and he came back from Korea, and we dated another year before we finally got married. So we met at Ball State.
It's very interesting. Was he as funny as he was back then as he is today?
Oh, yes, that was one of the things that really attracted me to him. It was his humor, his sense of humor. And he would come up with these jokes, and I don't know where he'd have these funny lines, and I don't know, he just came up with them, and they came out, and it was funny, and he still does that today. So yes, he was just like he is today.
Sounds like Grandpa to me. Um, I'm gonna change questions up here a little bit. Ask you a random question. If that's okay. Do you remember where you were and where Grandpa was when JFK was shot?
I'm not sure where Grandpa was. I know that uh, your dad was, I think, a 2 year old, I think.
Three
No,
months.
baby, 3 months. Oh, I guess he was 3 months. And we were shopping. My mother was keeping him, and I was shopping with Charlie, with your grandpa's sister. And we were downtown in Fort Wayne in a fabric store, like Joanne Fabric. And we heard that Kennedy had been shot. That's where we were when we heard about it. And of course, we were shocked, and and then everybody watched the TV because at that time we had TVs, and they had it on the media for, well, through all of it, through the funeral and everything. So yes, I know exactly where I was when he was shot.
So it was pretty shocking, you say?
Oh yes, yes it was. Well, it's just like 9/11. I think most people know where they were when 9/11 started, and it was the same way when Kennedy, and it was the same way in a sense when the uh, astronauts were killed when the missile blew up.
The rocket.
The rocket, yes. I'm not. I'm technologically challenged.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you get old.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for now. One final question: do you have any advice for people my age, students now, anything like that?
Yes, I do. It's important that you study and that you concentrate on your homework and get your homework done and get your tests, get your material read so that you can do well on your tests. And if possible at all, you at least need a high school diploma. But if possible at all, you ought to go to college because you have, even in this day and age when it's hard to get a job, you have a better chance of a job with a college diploma.
All right. Well, thanks, Grandma. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Going to sue the girl. We are going to sue the teacher. We are going to sue the school system. And we are going to sue the girl's parents. Whoa.